Successful transformation is hard to pull off and requires tackling tough issues where often the people involved just don't really want to hear them. This book has some pretty neat techniques and strategies for incrementally transforming your company to be more product operating model. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Teresa and I'm a product director based in Melbourne, Australia. And on this channel, we explore strategies and tools that it keeps inspiring us to keep growing in our product career. What is Transform all about? It's about change that enable you as a product leader to unlock your organization or company's way of working to bring value to your customer and to the business. In this video, I'll share my top 5 key takeaway from Marty Cagan's book, Transformed, and additional insight from Marty's Transformed workshop that I attended recently. So very briefly about Marty. He started his career as a software and developer and moved into a senior VP of product and design. He has performed and managed most of the roles of the modern software product organization, including product management, software development, product marketing, user experience, design, testing, engineer management. He is a very well-known person in the product space and continuously sharing his knowledge to create successful product managers. So let's jump into the first key takeaway. In order to deliver outcomes, the product operating model focuses on 3 distinct dimensions of change. The first change is changing how you build. Now, regardless of what kind of agile framework you are using, the main purpose is to ensure frequent and small releases are being unlocked. It means instrumenting your technology so that you know that it's working and how it's being used. It means monitoring your technology so you can hopefully detect any problems before your customer does. And it means being able to prove that new capability deliver the necessary value before you deploy widely. If you're not doing continuous delivery, then at the very least, you need to be doing true releases no less than 2 weeks. This means about moving projects to products, ongoing investment, and incremental deployments. The next dimension of change is changing how we solve problems. This is transforming features teams into empowered teams. The product teams are assigned problems to solve, and the product team is empowered to discover a solution that is valuable, usable, feasible, and viable. The point is to push the decisions on the best solution down to the people closest to enabling technology and the users interacting with the technology. Now in practice, this means developing the skills to rapidly test product ideas to discover a solution worth building. We call this product discovery. And ensuring your engineers and product designers have a true product manager who is skilled in the customer insights, the data, the business, and the industry, so that the product team has the necessary cross-functional skills to succeed. Changes here implies a new relationship with the company stakeholder where the product team moves away from that order-taking relationship to a more collaborative relationship. And the final change is changing how you decide which problem to solve. This really falls on the new and critical competency of the product leader's job. This depends on a strong product leaders, leads product management that leads product design and engineering, where the people on their team will require coaching and strategic context. This is about how you make the most out of your investment, which includes the product vision and the product strategy. The next key takeaway are the 5 vital product model concepts that if used correctly, you can transform your business, but used incorrectly, they can also break moving into the product model. Now, the product model concept are based on a set of first principles, which are the most basic and fundamental concepts. They serve as a foundational building blocks for your reasoning and understanding of complex systems and problems. The first principles are adaptable to all organization sizes, service all customers, B2B or B2C, organizations where they have physical products or software base. The first concept at the very foundation is the cross-functional empower product teams, which we know consists of a product manager responsible for the value and viability risk and accountable for the overall product's outcome. Product design, responsible for the usability risk and is accountable for the overall product experience at every interaction with your users and customers. The tech lead responsible for the feasibility risk and is overall accountable for the product's delivery. Now, there are 3 principles in this area. The first principle in this area is outcome over output. Now, we know that shipping a lot of features make us feel really, really good, but unless that translate into a business result, we have probably failed. This theme can also include accountable for business results and time to money over time to market. This is all about effectively solving for the customer's problem and your business, not just building stuff. The second principle is a sense of ownership. This focuses on the scope of the responsibility of the product team, ensuring they have something meaningful, and it comes down to the team topology. And the last principle is collaboration, which steers away from that waterfall of handling over tasks, but working together, enabling each other's expertise to make the right calls in each area, rather than taking requirements from the product manager. Hey everyone, I completely forgot one of the critical principles in this concept. It is also empowered with problems to solve. Now, if we look at empowered product teams, they exist to solve problems in ways their customers love and yet works for their business. And what makes them empowered is that they are assigned problems to solve rather than a list of features that has been prioritized for them to actually build. Additionally, it means to be cross-functional, having product team members who can cover each of the product model competencies, such as the product manager, the product designer, and the tech lead. The next concept is having an inspiring product vision combined with an insight-driven product strategy. Now, there are 4 principles in this area, many stakeholders as possible. Now, in contrast to the product model, you need to look holistically at both the opportunities and threats, and the product strategy is where you get serious and focus and making the biggest impact. It's important that the senior leaders of the company participate in the decision on focus, and it's especially important that the product leaders are not perceived as having its own agenda. This is why it's so important for the product leader to be transparent. Product leaders should encourage the CEO or executive team to select 2 to 3 most important goals to pursue, and then product leaders can focus on executing on them. The next principle is powered by insights. Now, these insights that will power your strategy. It can come from analyzing the data to show how your customer are using your product, buying your products, and changing over time, talking to your customers, asking them how they solve problems today, about their environment and context, and what would it take for them to switch to a new solution. And also new enabling technologies. What new opportunities do new technologies come up with? What new experiences can new technologies enable? And the broader industry. The next principle is transparency. Product leaders need to look holistically at the business and work with executives and stakeholders to come up with the most impactful vision and product strategy in order to pursue the most valuable opportunity and the most serious threats. It's easy to see how this could cause jealousy or frustration if the stakeholders worry that the product leaders are pursuing their own interests and agenda. This is why it's so important for the product leaders to be open and transparent on the data and reasoning that they're using to make these product strategy decisions. The product leaders need to work hard to gain buy-in for their product strategy from different impacted stakeholders across the company, especially since executing on the product strategy typically entails a large corporation across the company. And the final principle is placing bets. Now, the product strategy is not science. For some problems are simply much harder than others, some problems are much different risk profile than others, and some problems just have much challenging goals to achieve. This is why product leaders might assign problems to multiple product teams to solve in hope that at least one of them will make a substantial progress in the quarter. Experienced product leaders will manage the portfolio of risk by placing series of bets each quarter, working to maximize the likelihood of meeting the company's annual business objective by the end of the year. The next concept is when a product team has been assigned critical problems to solve, and these teams need to be skilled at the product discovery, which consists of 4 key principles. Principle number 1 is minimize waste. This is about doing product discovery with the minimal amount of waste of time and effort. You want to ensure that there is sufficient evidence to believe that the solution they're asking the engineers to build would successfully solve the customer or the business problem. Now, the key idea behind product discovery is to test out the product ideas very quickly to identify a solution worth building and then get that solution to market. The next principle is assessing product risk. This is looking at value risk. You might build a product only to find that your customers don't feel it's sufficiently better than what they currently have. Usability risk. You might build a product only to find that users cannot figure out how to do what they need to do or otherwise not align with how they think about the problem. Viability risk. You might build a product only to find out that there are legal, compliance, partnership, or ethical issues you haven't realized that prevent you from selling your product. And feasibility risk. You might find that it takes so much longer to build than you had initially thought. Your cost becomes so high that you can't afford to actually build and deliver this product. The next principle is embrace rapid experimentation. An experimentation culture not only helps you to address risk, but is absolutely central to innovation. Often the idea that succeeds started out looking like an idea that had little chance. Now, a culture of rapid experimentation encourages product teams to pursue these ideas. Skills in experimentation enable the product team to test these ideas quickly and inexpensively. The last principle is test ideas responsibly. The product discovery techniques are used across multiple companies in all different sizes, but there are some differences. Example, sometimes it might be easier at a startup and other things are much harder, like they may not have enough customers to collect enough information, whereas a large organization has so much customer data sets. Startups may have very little revenue or customers, so the chances of losing is very little. Whereas large organizations have a lot to lose. Therefore, when experimenting, consider the company revenue impact, the company reputation, the company's customer, from being confused and frustrated with all different experiments, your business partner, making sure your stakeholders such as customer success, who may be blindsided by some experiments. But to be clear, you absolutely need to run experiments, but you need to do it responsibly. Then we move into the next concept, the product delivery. Now there are 4 key principles here as well. The first key principle is small, frequent, uncoupled releases. This means at minimum, each product team releases their new work no less than 2 weeks. For strong product companies, these means releasing several times per day, referred to as CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. The second principle is instrumentation. It's about getting a clear view on what is going on post your release. This is from the low-level service reporting on health and performance to a high-level application generating usage analytics and company dashboard. Now, with good instrumentation and analytics, you can quickly detect and correct problems and demonstrate that you are providing the necessary value to the customers. The next principle is monitoring. One of the most important elements that instrumental enables is in monitoring or observability. This happens at all levels, from ensuring what is the underlying computing system and services are operating and performing properly, all the way up to ensuring that your application is behaving correctly and servicing customers appropriately. With strong monitoring, you can very quickly detect issues, often before your customers ever encounter the problems. And the last principle is deployment infrastructure. This focuses on providing a flexibility in your infrastructure that enables you to roll back if there are any problems with the deployment, further enhance your experimentation's capability to run A/B testing in production, enable splitting of traffic for experiments, and turning on and off capabilities where you necessarily need to further validate the outcome and improve value confidence. And the last concept is contributing to creating a strong product culture to get consistent innovation. Now, there are 4 key principles here. The first principle is principle over process. It's not that process is bad, it's just about unlocking innovation, and fundamentally, you can try to run your product organization with process or people. If you want to empower your people with a sense of true ownership, we will need to push decisions down to the product teams and closer to the users. And as leaders, we need to make coaching an important pillar that includes teaching skills, the principles, and also sharing strategic context, the larger picture of the product vision and the product strategy. The second principle is trust over control. Now, this means moving from hands-on micromanagement to a servant-based leadership with active coaching. It means leading with context rather than control. The next principle is innovation over predictability. Now, predictability in this context means that the organization simply focuses on being able to ship large amounts of features every quarter and lacking true focus on continuation of innovation. The best way to handle the need for occasional predictability of deliverable is with high integrity commitments. That is, the product team will be doing enough product discovery to understand what is truly required to deliver and only then provide a date. And the final principle is learning over failure. Fear drives people and process to become risk avert and unable to respond to changing needs of the market and the new enabling technologies. So when you're running experiments in product discovery, there is no such concept as success or failure. There is only the question on what have we learned. Your goal is to learn what works and what doesn't work in the product discovery, where cost and time are drastically reduced and the risk is mitigated. The third key takeaway is that product leadership plays a critical role in recruiting the right people for change. A very important part of transformation is identifying these high potential people, getting them into the critical roles, and providing them with the necessary coaching to succeed. You want to look for people with a broad understanding of the business and a proven ability to quickly learn other parts of the business as well. Look for people who are comfortable immersing in the data to understand the behavior and trends. Look for people who want to get to face with real users and customers. Look for people who are willing to roll up their sleeves around a whiteboard with their designer engineers to try to come up with solutions that solves for many different constraints. And lastly, one of my favorite, look for people who love to quickly learn as much as they can and collaborate to solve hard problems. The next key takeaway is get buy-in at the highest level and across the business to have a successful chance in transformation. Now, in practice, this is all about building a relationship with the key people across the organization to unlock the product operating model. The key to working effectively lies in alignment. Understanding the need, the constraints, providing the data rather than opinions, and forming a real partnership. Now, starting with the partnership with the customer. This is about moving to a high frequency engagement with your customers or end users to gain a deeper understanding of the customer's problem, the environment and context in which a successful solution needs to operate in. Additionally, to test your potential solution to make sure that the solution is valuable to the customer and usable by various types of users. The next partnership is partnering up with sales. This does not directly relate to everyone, but if you do have a sales team, then product really depends on sales to get its product into the hands of the customers. And sales depends on product providing them with the solution that truly meets their customers' needs. The product model focuses on creating a happy and referenceable customer, and the product needs to collaborate with sales to locate and develop these values for the end user. Next is partnering up with product marketing or marketing. The product model fosters a strong and effective collaboration between product and product marketing to understand the different markets and competitive analysis, evaluate a new competitor offering, and putting together a response that can be shared with the sales team. Additionally, working out how to effectively get that product into the hands of the customers, known as go-to-market, and working together on key messaging and positioning of the product. The next partnership is partnering up with finance. The first thing to establish there is that there is a reason to move into a product model by looking at the data together, acknowledging that the current model is just not very predictable in making good funding decisions and not very predictable in estimating incremental revenue from the product team. The changes in interaction will be that product will sign up to measure just as the company is measured by business results. And if the company launches a new product, it will be measured by the business success. If the company adds new capability, it will be measured by the value and the business impact. Now, for finance point of view, rather than making funding decisions on a project basis, product asks that staffing of the product team with specific focus areas and measures of business results to be funded for multi-quarters. The next partnership is with stakeholders. The product model is designed to have a product team as collaborative partnerships with stakeholders. And no longer they just delegate ideas to product teams. This means building trust between stakeholders and the product managers. And lastly, partnering up with executives. Moving to the product operating model often requires significant culture changes, especially when moving from top-down command and control leadership styles. This is the most important aspect of transformation, is changing the dynamics interaction between senior execs and the product organization. This requires increasing high frequency and high quality engagement with the executive team. The executive team should share the broader context of the business strategy, financial parameter regulatories, developments, industry trends, and strategic partnerships with the product team. To come up with the best solution, the product team depends on the executives to provide as much degree of freedom as possible to solve the problems they have assigned. Now, the product team needs to understand that there are times when an executive needs to know a specific date for a specific deliverable. Therefore, the team needs to commit to certain promises such as the high integrity commitments. Additionally, product teams should minimize surprise as much as possible, which means if there is anything potentially sensitive, the product manager are expected to recognize this and show and discuss it with the impacted stakeholders or executive before the solution is being built. The last key takeaway comes from Marty's Transform workshop that I attended in Sydney recently. The workshop dived into real-life examples of implementing these techniques. We explored an essential question on which dimension should we start the transformation first. And it starts with where you can deliver value the quickest and demonstrate the impact of the transformation of the operating model. So starting with how you build, by focusing on how your product team builds and enabling them to deliver incrementally and release frequently. You can quickly demonstrate the immediate value with more deliverables out the door. This will show your executive team that there is momentum in delivery. Now then, move on to changing how you solve problems. Find efficiencies in your product discovery process. Ensure that the team are set up to experiment, prototype, and connect them with customers before committing to delivery. These steps ensure that your solutions are valid and refined before significant resources are invested. And finally, changing how you decide which problem to solve. This step usually takes a bit longer because it involves close collaboration with stakeholders and executive teams. It's about aligning on priorities and problems in order to deliver the product vision and strategy. If you find this video helpful, inspiring, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to check out my 2 other videos on Marty's book, Inspired and Empowered, where it goes into more in-depth topic which I've discussed in Transformed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.